Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Here in this series where we're creating an Android TV and streaming box. And for today we'll be starting the design for our casing. While the parts are being ordered and coming in, we're just gonna work on creating the 3D printed case for our device. I'm not quite sure of the complete design, but just to do a markup, like to get the back plate and everything, and to know how deep the case should be, and that's what we're gonna be working on. So here I'm on Waveshare.com, where we have the exact device. They do sell other CM4 device, but being that this is the one that we have, we're gonna see what documentation that they have for it. So if we scroll along on their website all the way down, it tells about the actual IO board, different parts of it, what each header is for, and it gives them the numbers and everything, and it gives the dimension, which is perfect. So we know that 160 millimeter by 90.8, but I'm gonna say 90. So 160 by 90. Let's do that. Round it off, and that's all they have. Let's go to their wiki and see if they have any 3D models. Okay, so we're down to their wiki and our resources drawing. Okay, so yes, they do have a 3D drawing. So we're gonna get that downloaded, and then what we'll do, we will load up Fusion and see what we're working with. Okay, so now that we're in Fusion, this is the exact board, and we can see all the step file is situated. Okay, so all the parts are separate, and these are just the historical changes. So these are not actual bodies that I can do anything about, but we get started. So first, let's check the minimum depth of what the case should be. So we are going to do a measurement. Let's go to one of these points. Okay, so it says 18.5 millimeter. So that's the minimum, because that's the farthest point. So we know the depth we're working with, the minimum depth. So what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that the case itself, the minimum depth is going to be 20 millimeters. And we're going to be creating our custom standoff and everything. But first we're going to be working on the backplate. And if you look, you see everything is protrude out of the PCB. So we're going to use the back of the PCB as our sketch. Alright, so we're going to create a new sketch, and we're going to use the back right here. So we do know that the board dimension is 160 across. So let's create a construction line. Construction. And let's do it from here. So we do have our snap function. Alright, so let's do that. We can always offset down, but I just need to find us the center of this. So let's do this. Alright, so we have this is our center. There are different ways we could do this, but I'll just do it kind of the simple way. Alright, and what we're going to be doing, we're going to create our IO plate. So this is where we choose center rectangle, and we're going to come like this, and that's where we can actually do that. So this is 23.5. We can keep it at that. 23.5. All right. And we're going to go out to give it a little, well, let's do 162. Give some clearance. And that's not 162. 16.5. Also, we got 23.5. All right, perfect. Tab 162. All right, perfect. So now we have the beginning of our back plate. If we pan up, we can see where it seemed to cut off, which that's what we want. So what we can do now, we can finish our sketch, and we'll select this part. All right, and we can extrude. We're going to extrude out. Let's make it 3 millimeters. It's going to be a new body. We don't want it to be any part of this, and we can click OK. Now we're going to move this body off this PCB section. So we'll have our bodies. Perfect. Going to right click and we're going to just move it off a bit. Okay, it's only moving on the Y. So if you check, everything is just the way it was. Now what we're going to do, we're going to create our ports. So let's hide that. And we will start with our first HDMI port. And we're going to do extrude in the back of our body. And we're going to use our cut feature. We're just going to cut that out. And it should create our cutting. Perfect. Let's make sure that it's all the way out. That should cut our port. That's our port, so we don't need this. So we can remove that. And we're going to make this a little bit wider so that the USB cable, I should say the HDMI cable doesn't conflict with the back panel when you're plugging in. So let's do the same for these. And we are going to do cut. Let's put 20. How far was this? 43. All right. I could have moved this closer, but that's fine. That. And I'm just going to do all of these quickly. skip a bit in a moment. Right? So we're slowly getting there. Some of these I have to do it from the back. What we'll do, we'll go to cut from object. So we'll choose the front as the object, and we're going to be cutting all the way back out. Let's choose 50. That will give that part there. So yeah, we're basically doing this to all these ones because there's no flat surface here for me to get it proper. Like this is flat, so I can do it like that. And this one, this is a strange one. Let's check the front. Okay, so we can do this from the front here. Okay, that, and we are going to cut. Alright, so we need to get rid of that part. So let's go back in. Let's do it from there. Like that. From object, we're going to choose the front part of that. Bring back up our back panel. Going to cut. -50. That should cut the hole right into our back panel right here. Okay. So we have our back panel. That's the back panel. Alright, so we can hide those. So we have a back panel here. So what we need to do, we're going to work on this. So all we need to do now is to select our back panel here. We're going to do a sketch. So with these, what we can do, we can offset these by, let's say, 1 millimeter. Alright. We can always adjust this, but this is just our prototype, so we're going to end up printing this up and see how it looks. See how it fits. Alright. So now that we have all of these, so what we're going to do, we're going to finish our sketch. And for our cutout here, we are going to cut these part out. Let's see what's the direction. Okay, so we're going to do cut. And we're just going to move it back a bit. And that will actually cut out that offset area that I put in. Alright, so now that we have that cut out, we are going to print this part up just to see how it fits, if everything line up the way it should. So let's do that. I'm just going to select our back plate and open that up. Alright, so there we have our back plate prototype. So the finished model won't have these little cutout knobs. Those will be removed, but just to get a markup to make sure that it actually fits the back of the device, or the CM4 IO board, we're just gonna do a prototype. Alright, so that looks just right. Let's choose our printer. Alright, so with this text, just do standard. Let's slice her up. 21 minutes, that should be fine. And we're gonna get it sent over. And hold on, I need to change the plate. Alright, perfect. We're gonna send this over and get it printed. And then we'll transition to when it's all done, and we're gonna try it on the board and see how it fits. And yeah, so I'll see you in a flash. 21 minutes for me, a few seconds for you. Alright, so here we have our IO board. Just gonna grab the back plate that we just printed. Alright, so here we have our back plate. It's a bit thick, but prototype. And let's see if this lines up perfectly. There we go. So it lines up pretty good. There's a few adjustments that can be made. For example, the power port, I will make it a bit smaller. It's as if the 3D markup use a different design for that. But yeah, so the HDMIs are okay. The USB ports are okay. The network port, I can make this a little bit smaller, as well as the micro USB. But yeah, so for a first print prototype, we can see that it looks good so far. And as this series progress, we'll be making changes and design a complete thing. So yeah, so that's it so far. That's it for this video. Like and subscribe, and stay tuned as we continue to this project until we have a fully functioning Android TV box that also streams. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.